Welcome back, ladies and gents. It is time for the final match of the WCS Oceania and Southeast Asia Challenger, proudly brought to you by McDonald's, and also GameStone the production and Insano Observer, who have been working very hard for us today. It's another best of 5 series coming up with our top 2 qualified players, Hut and Probe. Hut will be leading 1-0 from his winner bracket advantage. So let's get your view, Maynard, as you'll be leaving us for this one. Does Probe have a bit of juice left in him with which to take out one last Terran for the top prize?
Blah, 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 caster rhetoric, absolutely, Zeph, because Probe is, he's come off the back of a PVT, so he's already fresh with his game plan in mind. Unfortunately, I think that Probe's going to take this one, but there's also the little part of me that thinks that Hut's going to start proxying factories and be weird. and hit him for 6 but mind you, when Hut was doing that and getting away with beating Probe on stage at IM City on that big public display where he proxied that factory and made a siege tank right in his face, which was funny and also amazing. The other thing is that was that Probe, and this is this Probe. This Probe is a lot scarier. This is a lot more indicative of the Probe of old, and he's a lot scarier of a beast than the guy that had a little bit of shaky inconsistency the last couple WCS seasons.
Yeah,
you pig.
He's coming out strong. That last series definitely is going to be a big confidence booster. I think Hut can definitely make it happen though, because he is a cheeky boy. He likes the proxy factories, likes the proxy barracks. We saw a bit of success with that in that series, and I've got to bring it back to echo what I was saying earlier, in that I do think more aggressive plays are very powerful. I honestly think just a very tight, relatively quick 3 barracks timing is very difficult to stop with the build that Probe is doing. So you're going multiple oracles, you're going blink, you're going for stalkers. You don't have a very meaty army. You need to use your oracles just right. You need to use your force fields, your blink micro just right, and the smallest mistakes can get you killed. So I wouldn't mind Hut coming out here aggressive, swinging, getting some big 2-base timing attacks going. And I'm excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, should be a really good one. I think Probe does have the winning record over Hut typically, but I don't know. Seether has the winning record against Hut too, and he somehow bopped him 3-0. So pretty keen to see how this goes, if these guys are going to be fighting tooth and nail or not, as it is for prize money, but they can breathe a little bit easier because they have both qualified. So without further ado, we are in Lost and Found for the first map, and in the bottom left-hand corner, this is Hut.
And his opponent up here in the top right-hand side, the red Protoss player, representing Legacy A and Z, he is Probe. Lost and Found going to be a good map here, and so far it is a gas first for Hut, so one of the more tech-heavy openings. Probe, I really think Probe is just going to stay with what's worked so far until it doesn't work. Until there's a really good reason to. I think Probe just keeps doing the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, once he kind of found the magic formula, he hasn't really deviated too much from it. And, I mean, Hut is a different Terran again, but can be quite similar. So we'll see if it works a charm on him. Otherwise, he might come up with some other shenanigans to throw at his opponent here. Make sure that there's actually, a Rax inside his base, because proxy is a thing. But
yeah, good idea to double check that's the case. Otherwise, things can go wrong pretty fast for you as a Protoss player. Probe is going to be coming in, just getting little bits of damage done on these probes, which sometimes is impactful later on when the Oracle comes in, if you catch him with no anti-air. But now we get to see what Hut's plan is, and for now it's just a very straightforward opening. So barracks into factory at home. Probe is still just double checking the expansion went down, and yeah, very straightforward, normal opening for both sides. So a bit of respect on both sides of the equation. It's funny because I get stuck in this mindset of thinking Hut is the guy who needs to win. He needs to win early. He needs to win with aggression. He needs to proxy, or he needs to surprise his opponent and do something strategic and clever. But if his Terran versus Protoss has improved anywhere near the rate of his TVT, I mean, he can absolutely just play a straight up game and take Probe down here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see it, to be honest, because he's looking really good, and he's. Oh, this Probe will get taken out. He's not one of those players that, to me, tends to have like one absolutely trash matchup, and then the other ones are okay. He tends to be pretty well-rounded, and we've seen his TVZ, we've seen his TVT, both looking stellar. So I am feeling like it's pretty safe to assume that his TVP isn't going to be too far off it either. And he's had some time to prepare. I mean, let's not forget, he's been watching these games that Probe has played on stream as well. You know, he has that intel.
No doubt. Doing some calculations, crunching the numbers a bit on what's going to work well, and nice little probe there as well. That's cute. Sees a couple stalkers, so it looks just like everything is normal. Hutt's got those tells. He's going into the multiple widow mines that we saw Seether was a big fan of. So Hutt also saying, you know what, seemed to work pretty well. I'm going to do that as well. But a quick Liberator already on the way as well. So I'm liking it. Varying up the widow mine placements a little bit here, hoping to catch those oracles. But so far, Probe has been the Oracle avoiding wizard. He has just never ran into them at all. The Widow Mine avoiding Oracle wizard.
Yeah.
Good speaking, pig.
It's been a little impressive actually, because you do end up sticking them in really random spots on the map, hoping to catch out the Oracle, and somehow he just magically seems to dodge them, but not this time.
We cast a curse at Zeph. Good job, us. Sorry, Probe fans.
Don't worry, he got to see the rocks before he there.
And he gets to see them for another 40 seconds. Game-changing scouting information there.
Crazy stuff, man. Next level strats. Alright, well, he did make a second Oracle, and he's going to use that to stasis ward. Hopefully he can get... In fact, he's got another one coming.
These Stalkers might be a bit out of position because, they missed the Lib rotating in. That Lib's going to hit the back of the natural there, and those Stalkers are pretty far away, but it's walked into vision. It didn't siege up, so it does give a few seconds for Probe to get back there. A bit of lost mining time. Not too terrible, but, actually Probe engaging the Liberator in its zone there, and a bit of focus fire from Hutt to take down a few probes at the end of that. That's not a failed Liberator. 4 kills, a bit of mining time. Not too bad. Not amazing either. And behind this, I'm very interested to see what Hutt is up to at home, because Probe is just massing stasis traps. Yeah, it's that quicker 3 barracks and multiple siege tanks. So this looks a lot like the build that Seether did on this map earlier today. And it was working very, very well. It forced Probe to pull all of the probes off the third base to engage. So I'd love to see Hutt look for that same sort of push. About 1 minute from now, pushing out with about 20-25 Marines, 3 siege tanks, and a couple of medevacs. That can do huge damage.
Oh, gosh. Those are awesome pickups for Hutt. One less thing he has to think about. Nice little trades. These Stalkers are going to poke out here. Deal with this Marine and maybe prod forward a little bit more. There's still more mines being burrowed here and there by Hutt. Hoping to catch out another unsuspecting Oracle or any other unit that might swing past.
Yeah.
There we go, that one's revealed at the very least.
And wouldn't mind here, might grab a Stalker as well if they do end up moving to the right-hand side, but Probe being very careful so far. If he loses that last Oracle, this is disastrous. Already it's great for Hutt. Losing the utility of those Oracles, I mean, I've been talking about this in terms of how do you beat this style. If you can find a way to get rid of the Oracles, it's huge. And already shooing these Stalkers into that Widow Mine. 2 of them do go down there. Nice play by Hutt. Keeps the Widow Mine alive as well. And that attack, Zeph, that attack is getting ready to go. 4 siege tanks, a couple of medevacs. A 5th siege tank is almost out. Well, the 4-fact TVZ. Turns out he doesn't need 4 factories here in Terran vs. Protoss. He just starts building siege tanks from like the 3-minute mark, and by the time he's ready to push, he has so many.
Yeah, he's gonna have a fairly chunky army, and the army supply is pretty good, and he's brought SCVs with it at the same time. Probe circling around here. He might be able to catch wind of it and pick off maybe even that tank that's straggling behind there.
Yeah, that could
On
be
the
really
left.
nice, actually. That tank on the left is out in the open, and Probe is 100% going to get that.
Yeah. He blinks away. And now he's got warning. He can prepare for that a little bit better. Charge is halfway done at this point, and he's got armor coming. But this is still going to be a sticky thing to kind of get rid of once he gets entrenched in here with all those 4 tanks sieged up. It's really annoying to find the right position and get those snipes that you need. So let's see how he goes as Hut starts to form his position here near the third base.
Oh, these Marauders coming forward. Got to be really careful of force fields, but look at these siege tank shots. They're huge. Missile turrets going down to help block against this as well. The stim in is big. The siege tanks doing huge damage. Those stalkers tried to blink forward to bring the friendly fire onto the siege tanks. It did not work at all. The Marines just evaporated those stalkers. They all disappeared. And there we go. They're looking for still a ton of stalkers, but the siege tanks are just way too threatening right now.
Yeah, he lost all the sentries in that exchange as well. These Marines can't be stopped. There's so much damage here, and he just can't engage this position. Missile turrets are finished. A bunker is not far off. And a lot of these stalkers are just getting taken out because there's no blink. They have nowhere to go. And Hut is choking this third out. It is forfeit. And he's, in fact, just going to go straight for the throat. He knows that third can't be used right now.
I feel like
I'm not sure what Antiprobe has.
He's got to take out this third, though. I mean, the Stalkers are getting a really good engage on the reinforce here. So that's actually a very nice start to it. But, oh, my lord, the bunker wall. The bunker wall going up on the right-hand side is massive. But the Stalkers... I mean, they've jumped on the reinforce, so maybe it's just... I mean, I was going to say, yeah, you can just get one more round of Zealots and then you engage. But now there's a bunker wall. I'm like, oh, there goes that plan. What do you do as Probe? I don't know.
Yeah, this is a real tough position. It's a choke no matter which angle you come from. And now he's made it even more difficult to get close to these units. These whole position Zealots suddenly taken off with the kill command. And he's trying to close the distance. Blinks into the Stalkers, focuses down the siege tanks. But is there enough? It looks like the bunkers are falling. The reinforcements come in for Hut from behind. But is that enough
This
damage?
is so close. There's still one more bunker. The units can get in that. There's still SCVs here to repair. More bunkers going down as well. Only one medevac left, but I think Probe might just barely have the numbers now. The Stalker's going to try and engage that bunker. It's burning. Hut's reinforce has burnt out. He has to pull back. He has to retreat. He's knocked Probe back to 2 bases, but Probe has still got a 20 worker advantage. If Probe can rebuild a third, those workers are just going to instantly start lapping up that income. But Hut, I mean, he can take a third base as well if he chooses to. He's just going to go back and try to rebuild the tank and medevac count for now.
Yeah, very solid 2-base push from him here. Probe, he's not in a bad position. After all that looked really scary, don't get me wrong. And yes, he lost a third, but like you said, it's not too bad. Once that third's back up and running, he's even double expanding right now. He'll be looking pretty good, and he's also going to sneak some DTs in there as well. So let's see what happens from here if Hut looks towards a third base. He's still got quite a lot of army on the field.
Yeah, I mean, another wave of this 2-base all-in could be the killing blow. The problem is he's dropping every single mule right now, and he's going to keep doing that because he knows he needs to try and just get this attack together. And I honestly think DTs is just the most genius thing to do right now. You're up against the Terran who you know is on 2 bases. He's not going to have a lot of extra scans. You know he doesn't have a Raven. You're not going to swap into a Raven after the first push doesn't work. So here we go. SCVs, tanks, Marines, Marauders, and Hut needs to hang on to his energy because right now he only has 1 scan and almost no extra energy beyond that. So he's got to make these scans work. Already 4 DTs warp in. If Probe splits these up, they will smash it. They're all clumped up right now. They're all super clumped up right now. If Hut sees that, he scans, but actually only gets 1 of them. The other 3 do manage to make it to safety. There is 1 more scan ready right now, but after that, it's going to be a long time until there's any more scans ready. He's going to be forced to just engage here. So much bio, but those force fields are lit. The DTs actually accidentally run into the backside of that. Hut's army crushing through this. More DTs trying to warp in, but it's going to take them a while to clean this up. And the missile turrets are already going down.
1 is built up the back, so he has a spot to retreat to. He could even focus that Nexus, take it out. These DTs doing what they can, but it's too much. GG. Hut takes the first map and gets himself a 2-0 lead with his winner bracket advantage.
Damn, a beautiful little push there from Hart. I mean, this is exactly what we talked about. Maynard mentioned proxy factories. Turns out just pull the boys, get those fast
Yeah.
two-phase timings going. Build a wall of bunkers as well. It's just a great push from Hart. And this is the sort of push which I mentioned earlier is very hard to stop with an Oracle into Blink style. You spent so much money on these Stargate units that aren't great combat fighters. And in that game, it was especially bad because, of course, 2 Oracles dying to Widow Mines meant less stasis traps, less control over the early game. Had to spend money rebuilding those. So the Widow Mine placement from Hart did a great job that game. Definitely got him a good advantage. And Probe now has a very long road ahead of him to that extra $900. 3 wins in a row. Super tough to string that one together.
Yeah, that's gonna be tough. He can do it. Don't get me wrong, but it's always a little bit easier when you can at least win the first map. Gives you a bit of insurance. But not to worry. We're going to be hopping into Catalyst for the second map here in just a moment. Hopefully, Probe can put in some work and get a point on the board there, or it's going to be a fairly quick grand finals, I'm afraid. But I have faith. It is Probe after all. This is his 5th qualification for an international WCS event. So if anyone can do it, it's going to be him.
I mean, it's time. Players go through ups and downs, with their skill, with their styles, how successful they are. And I feel like Probe's in an upswing at the moment where he's regaining that focus. He's kind of bouncing back hard after a couple of seasons where he didn't live up to his own expectations. And now he is over there in Korea training hard. He's been tearing up the ladder, and he wants to bring it back here. He doesn't want to go out in second place. It's not just about money. It's about pride. It's not just about the spot, even though that was the biggest thing qualifying for Montreal. He wants to take Hart down. He wants to show that he can't be stopped by a lesser Terran player. I'm sure in his mind, he's got high standards to live up to. He's going to try and bring it back here. The next map is going to be Catalyst.
Yeah, it certainly is. And we are loaded in. Let's get this series underway for what is hopefully not the last game of the grand finals. My goodness. Up here in the top left from Team SYF in the blue trunks, this is Hut.
He's been killing it so far today, but his opponent down here has been changing it up. Managed to take down Caesar there before in the rematch. The Red Protoss representing Legacy is Probe.
Yep. Both these guys are really excelling in their teams, actually. Last season... okay. Cheeky Rex. Last season, when I got to speak to Hart after his qualification, I asked, what role does the team environment, play for you in this? And he really attributed a lot of his success and a lot of the support that he has to SYF, and obviously the great players that he has to practice with. And similarly, I think Probe was maybe the first Legacy StarCraft player, and he has done crazy good, been overseas multiple times under that banner. So really awesome to see these guys getting the right support from their teams in the region.
Exactly. I love this Probe coming in here and going, what is going on, dude? But there's no second gas. So all this does is it might confuse Probe. Now, of course, the one gas proxy that you could be facing is one where they go proxy Marauder. And then, that maybe they're rallying off 2 barracks or something like that, trying to build bunkers. Definitely these are worrisome things for Probe. He's, of course, worried about a Reaper as well. And, I mean, already he's delayed his natural. Meanwhile, just a normal expansion timing for Hut. So this sucks for Probe. He still hasn't realized what he's up against here. And he's got to get down there and see that natural, because until then, he is laboring under the assumption that there is some sort of crazy all-in attack. And now seeing the Reaper, he's immediately got to realize, I've been had. This was a completely normal build here. And Hut's even thinking about doing an engineering bay block. But no, not going to get it.
Almost. Not quite. That would be so tilting too at this point in the tournament to deal with that. But it was not to be. Maybe next game if we get there. But I really like that mind game from Hart early on here, because there's been a lot of nonsense thrown at some of these plays throughout the bracket, and you definitely do end up a little bit on edge sometimes when you see something that's not quite right. And you go, okay, time to play super defensive. I need more shield batteries, and I'm going to delay this expansion, or I'm going to probe a little less, or something like that, and end up getting behind. But not an overreaction by Probe.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of these things where Probe definitely wanted to play that out safe, and it's not the most terrible opening of all time, but it's just not what you want. And the way these Protoss players open up, the way the meta works is, I think sometimes Terran players get really frustrated. They feel like, Protoss is like got these Oracle openings, they can see everything, they're always prepared at every turn, but the moment you disrupt the Protoss's build with something like this sort of opening, it throws a spanner in the works. Everything becomes harder for the Protoss player to pull together at the right timing. The Protoss isn't 100% sure how far they can get away with it, because normally Protoss vs Terran is a matchup of build no fighting units, except just a couple of Oracles to spot what's going on. Then you get like a little squad of Blink Stalkers to kind of pressure and maintain vision, and you just build a ton of probes and upgrades behind it until you're ready to suddenly make a ton of Zealots or Colossi or something like that. So there's very much this kind of like invest everything in economy and then go into army. Everything to economy, everything into army. And if you can disrupt that flow as a Terran and throw a bit of indecision, the Protoss is not going to have that smooth build-up. They're not going to have as many things at the timings they're used to, and it just makes the entire game plan a lot harder for the Protoss player.
Yes, indeed. Now he's going to make a couple of Oracles with this, and he's got himself a couple of Phoenixes. And that is a huge bother for the Terran once they get in there. A lot to deal with at once. A third Oracle even going to come out here. So really committing to those air units for now. We've got a siege tank out for Hut, a second one on the way, but otherwise not that many units. He has smartly positioned the Marines he has at the natural, and he's got a Viking out as well.
Oh, winner mine! Chicken din-dins for that winner mine.
Nice.
Very, very tasty. That's huge. That's really huge. Those two Phoenix built this game. Probe's given up a little bit of that control with the Oracles that he normally has. He's also delayed his third base a bit here, so I think definitely throwing Probe off balance is paying dividends. Sees the Twilight Council only now starting, and that tells you as Hut that Blink is miles away. This is going to give him a lot of confidence, a lot of comfort. It's going up to 5 barracks before a third command center. It's going to be another huge 2-base push this game.
Yeah, this is going to be quite the chunky army once that production kicks in. And Hut has had a lot of success with these 2-base biotank compositions in the past. They're gonna have +1. Stim obviously on the way as well to time out with that. And he has the potential to do a lot. My goodness, how does he do this? How is he so good with the mine positions?
That's so tilting for Probe, man. These Widow Mines, they just keep moving. Look at it, like he's been running them around. He adjusts them every time they shoot. He moves it somewhere else. He's got these Marines hunting for this Zealot up at the third base right now as well. Hut is, he's all over this game. And Oracle comes in, sees this Widow Mine just before it resets, fortunately for Probe. But that attack's getting ready. That attack is so close. It's maybe like 1 minute away, I think, here. These barracks are all up. 5 barracks powering out units. The depot wall going up in the natural to stop the counter. And once again, it's going to be like 4 or 5 siege tanks. Scan goes down, and Hut sees a bare naked third base. There's just not a lot of units out for Probe. Probe's got to get those pieces together. He needs a bit more time.
Yeah, and we spoke about before this series how Probe found something that worked and he was sticking to it. I think the similar thing is happening here for Hut. He's like, man, these 2 base pushes are just too good. I can do so much damage and have so much army, and Probe just doesn't really have enough stuff. So let's see how he goes. He's still being active in the map with these stalkers. Trying to pick off what he can, trying to see what's going on. Gonna take another mine hit.
Those Widow Mines just getting so much value throughout this series so far. Gonna come up and take another Widow Mine shot.
It just doesn't end.
It's so tilting as well, because you know as Probe that you can dodge those if you're watching, but you don't get any warning. If you're not watching the Stalkers, you don't get the warning until after you've taken the shot. The Oracle and the Stalkers here looking to pick off these units, trying to do some damage. 3 of the Stalkers get separated from the pack. Revelation does go down. Charge has just started. It's a minute and a little bit longer than a minute actually before it gets back and gets ready. There's some stasis traps, or at least one here in the middle, but the Terran's going to be able to siege up tanks here before he even gets up there. The scan even spots it. There's just too much Terran. He's not going to wait at all. Zero fear from Hut with the siege up there. Slow Zealot's not going to be enough to cut it.
No, the Immortal doing what it can, but he has to back up with the units. More Zealots warped in at the natural, and this is the same position that he found himself in last game. Hut dropping 2 bunkers, walling off that third area. Third one coming in as he pokes in with the natural with the bio units. That's a great tank spread as well. And Probe, is he about to go out with a 3-0 score? He's pulling workers off the line. He's trying to get close to the siege tanks, but there's so much damage being done.
Charge just wasn't quite done. The Immortals could not get in range, and Hut, with the perfect strategy for the player, knew exactly what he was going to be going up against, and he comes out as our champion of the WCS Challenger ANZ and Southeast Asia for the final Season 4 of this year. And not only doing it just barely, no, he crushed it. He 3-0'd Seether. He just took out Probe there, crushing him as well with 2 wins to 0 losses. That's insane. Of course, did have the 1-0 advantage before the set started, but didn't even really need it. That was a very one-sided finish to things. Hut just impressing us. Clearly the new player to keep your eye on from Terran, the rising star, finally showing what he's been building up to for many years now in the StarCraft scene. Can't wait to see what he does over there in Montreal.
Yeah, he's put on an amazing performance, and I'm so happy to see this guy who's an absolute veteran of our scene really coming to his own. I mean, he's making a name for himself here. Back-to-back qualifications for WCS, which is something that in the past we've only seen Probe and Seether do. Igus as well comes to mind, and he's basically beaten up everybody that's somebody in this region over the course of this tournament. So I'm very impressed. I'm sure he's very happy with his performance. And you know what? At the same time, Probe having come this far and reclaiming one of those spots, he can't be too down on himself about his performance today either.
Not at all. I've got to echo what you said there, Zeph. You know, the 2-0 over Mio Micah, the 3-0 over Seether, and the 2 wins there to 0 against Probe at the end to take the 3-1, the 3-0 final scoreline. I mean, that's all 3 matchups. This is not an easy road. Hut didn't get through here off the back of just one matchup. Some great performances, of course, though, from other players as well. Mio Micah really taking the show, taking the spotlight on day one. Looked fantastic. I mean, it's so cool to see Mio Micah just... I feel like he is getting more and more consistent, you know, and he is so flexible in those games. And I feel like he's just always a challenge no one wants to face off against. Really took a lot of big wins this weekend. So definitely made a mark in my mind. Big Mio fan, definitely after this weekend. Already was a little bit of a Mio fan before, but much bigger now.
Man. He's so fun to watch. And that's... I always compare him to him because it's the only comparison I can draw. But Ender... he had a very similar style, a very out there Zerg player that had a unique way of looking at the game. And I think Mio Micah is very similar in that regard. And it's great to see a bit of variety in the games because a lot of the players we have, you know, some of them do know some good cheeses, but few of them stray too far from the meta like Mio Micah does. So make sure you keep an eye on him in future seasons because I think, you know, especially with the run that he had yesterday in the Open Qualifier and today in the top 16, he might be one of those guys that we consistently see top 4 in the future. It would not surprise me one bit.
Maynard. Welcome, Maynard.
Oh, I'm back. Hey, guys. What's going on? Yeah, what's up, dudes? Great cast for that final series. Now, I'm very, very proud of my boy Hut here. He didn't manage to show he had a very, very tough group in Valencia. Didn't manage to show his gumptions off over there, but hoping for a little bit of a better group in Montreal so that the world that didn't get to watch him qualify today can actually experience firsthand, and on this channel, once again, casted by those big international big boy casters, how amazing he can be. Like, this is a really, really sick showing from him. really, really huge fan of some of his plays and his decision making there against Probe. And I mean, I just have to echo Pig again. Like the monstrous performance that he had is unprecedented for him. Best performance of his career by far. Can't argue that.
Yeah, really awesome to see him get that far, and different combination of representatives again to go overseas, which is sick. And this is the last stop for us this year, isn't it? Before BlizzCon.
That's right. Yep. This is the last chance. Last chance for everyone to get some points and get some dosh if they're not a contender for the for the qualifications of BlizzCon if they don't have enough points, and that's it.
Yeah, that's it. And in front of you, you see your final standings for the top 16 today. Pretty good results for a lot of these players. One player that sticks out for me there is Peppy, who unfortunately we didn't get to see on the main stream. I believe a couple of his games happened on the B stream. But he is in shape right now. Top 5. That is an incredible result for Peppy, who pops up a lot in the top 16 and the top 8. But, that's one or two series away from a top 4 in his behalf. So we'll have to keep an eye out for him in the future as well. Yours coming in at 6th too, having another impressive performance. I think that he's becoming more and more consistent.
I think also we've got to give a little shout out to Fuely, our race switcher with the surprise performance in the qualifiers, doing some great games this weekend. And hope to see, of course, I'm sure those guys who did fall into the bottom 8 of the top 16, it was some tough brackets for everyone all around. There is no easy bracket for anybody, but I'm looking forward to seeing players like Iaguz, Blisk, Crimson, NXZ, Pez, Frustration, all of these guys bringing it back stronger next year. They're all regular names for a good reason. It's because they're absolute beasts. So can't wait to see what everyone's going to bring back next year. I'm sure it's going to be a new age of Australian StarCraft. Hut now, he's got a target on his back going forward. Yeah. Everyone's going to be watching out for him. It's not just a top 4, top 3, top 8 guy. He is a top 1 this season. So cool stuff for him.
Hut, best player in Australia. What a timeline to be alive in.
Yeah, man. Lots of good quality TVTs lately in the last few seasons. I think we're being spoiled with TVPs as well. There was a time where both of those were pretty rare, so very happy to see these guys keep coming up to the top and doing really well for themselves. And you know what? Unfortunately, that about wraps it up for us, guys. Any last words from you, Maynard?
Can we have a second tournament now? Because I'm having a lot of fun.
Yeah, please.
Got another 30-odd players that want to start an open bracket all over again. You're not doing anything tomorrow, right?
No, man.
All right, let's kick this party off. Just take a short lunch break. We'll come back. All right, guys. See you guys in 20 minutes for the next part of this tournament. No, I'm just kidding. It was a blast to cast with you guys as always. It was a pleasure to have you back on the casting bench here, Zeph. I've missed you so much. It's good to have you again. You had to take a WCS season off, but you're back, and it's good. You're coming back with a splash, and you still got those casting chops. So I'm happy to hear it. And Pig, always a pleasure, brother.
You too,
man. You're gonna have a good time and casting some of these big boys in the future. And I am, I'm just a big shout out to Probe and Hut. These guys are. I tweeted it earlier when they qualified and reiterated again for you guys that watch that don't have social media or don't care to follow me. I am so proud of these two dudes and am very, very happy that they are representing our nation or our region over in Montreal. Could not have picked a better couple.
Yeah, indeed. Pig, anything from you?
No, just definitely follow the players on Twitter as well. Hut at SIF Hut, SYF Hut. Says Hutland. He's been planning to organize a LAN. He says now it's going to be a $3,000 prize pool. Kappa. So good to see him. Not just organizing tournaments, but giving back to the community, winning tournaments, running tournaments, doing the whole shebang. It's cool to follow the players' storylines on Twitter and people kind of sharing a bit of attitude and stuff. So awesome, greatest scene in the entire world. Absolutely love casting with you guys. Thank you, Blizzard. Thank you, McDonald's, GameStar for the production, Insano, and Chris there with the production and the observing. Appreciate the support, guys. And can't wait to do it again next season.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Echo all those thoughts. Appreciated. to all you viewers as well for tuning in. There's been a lot of you over the last couple of days. Really appreciate you coming to watch our scene and supporting the players. Hopefully, if you haven't watched our StarCraft before, you found some new players to follow as well. And as always, we hope you've enjoyed the show, and we will catch you next time. Probably next year, I guess, for the next WCS, but you might catch Pig and Maynard at international events. Who knows? But we will miss the WCS cast nonetheless. So see you next time, guys. Thanks for watching.